Shalom, people. This is Brother Laos coming at you with another video. And one of the things that I have experienced over my life as a believer, in the Christian church, then coming out, and then my awakening to who I am, is one thing that has been consistent, that it don't matter whether you are still in the Christian church or you into this awakening, the devil never changes his ways. He never changes his ways of how he attacks the people of Yah. He never says, because you got the right belief, I'm going to attack you different. No, he knows those that are genuinely following after the Father and learning of the Father through his Son. His approach to you is going to be the same to you who are watching this video, who might still be in what you call a Christian church, but you know who you are, or vice versa. Some of you that might be in this awakening and you know that you're a true believer, his way of attack against you is going to be the same. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us to know the devices of our enemy, Satan, Lucifer, the devil, the old dragon, to know not a intrigue type knowledge of him where you're intrigued about the devil and his ways, but have a understanding of somewhat of his origin, so you'll understand somewhat of why he operates and why he thinks the way he does, and therefore that might help you when the Holy Spirit activates within you, because the Holy Spirit is going to take what is in you, right, and help you. Now he does give us knowledge and different things, like there are times in my life where the Holy Spirit has verbally in my mind's ear, if you could use that word, hear him say, "Don't do this." He would say, "Don't do this. Don't go there. Go here." It's not all the time. I wish it was, but for the most part, he's going to take the knowledge that you have, right? That's why he said, "Study to show thyself approved unto Yah," right? A workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of Yah. So if we got the Holy Spirit dwelling inside of us, that means that living on the inside of us, you still have to give the word to it. The Holy Spirit, now he knows the word. He is the Spirit of Messiah. He is the Spirit of the Father, right? So the word is who he is the energizing part of the word, right? The word, the force of it. So he knows. So he wants to activate that word that is in you to do what he. But if there's no word in you to activate, right? So you gotta. This is why it's important for us to not be ignorant of the devil's devices. And one of the things that we should not be ignorant of is what is the connection between why Satan, the devil, is not in heaven today, and what does he think about heaven? Does he love being here on earth? These answers And these questions and these answers can be found in the Word. And what we find is that at one time, Satan, who at that time was called Lucifer, he was dwelling not just in heaven, but he was dwelling in what was called the Mount of Yah, where the throne, very throne of Yah was, the sides of the north, is where he dwelt. And when the angels, because Satan was, and we're going to see that, was the top angelic being in heaven, right? And how he was the one that was apparently in charge when the worship services in heaven were going on. And so we're gonna find out some things about why I believe the devil operates the way he does here on earth is because of the things that happen in heaven. It is a saying in the esoteric agencies, Masonry, Rosicrucians, all these other dark arts associations, if you will, as above, so below, right? And so we're gonna find out how Satan got to where he is today and why he is. And there's gonna along that, there's gonna be some questions, right, that some people are gonna ponder in their mind that I sometimes ponder and I have my own opinion on. But let's get to it. The lesson today is the size of the north. And you're gonna see why I gave it that title today. And we're going to start here in Isaiah, the 14th chapter. This is the prophet Isaiah. He's having a vision of the king of Babylon, but then that vision of the king of Babylon switches to another being that is supernatural, sort of like comparison to another book we get ready to read in Ezekiel, where Ezekiel is talking about an earthly king, and then it switches to a supernatural being, and you know that he's no longer talking about this earthly king, but I guess there's a comparison going on between them. But we're going to start at a part of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, where it talks about the supernatural part. Now we're going to start here at verse 9, right? I'm going to start at verse 9. It says, "Hail from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up their thrones, all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, in the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How oft thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yah. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought to hell, down to hell, to the sides of the pit." Then we're going to go to Ezekiel 28 and verse 12. It says, Ezekiel 28 and 12, "Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Master Elohim, thou sealest up the sun, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yah. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and the gold. The workmanship of thy tablets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherubim that cover. I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of Yah. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of the fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence. Thou hast sinned, therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Yah. I will destroy thee, O covering cherubim, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast devoured thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee. It shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shall thou be any more. This is talking to us, and actually we're going to go to Revelations too. This is going to cap it off, because this is giving somewhat of a description of things that were happening in heaven and in other places before Satan came crashing down. We're going to go to Revelations 12 and verse 7. And it says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our Yahuwah and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our Yah day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman that brought forth the man-child. So this gives us somewhat of a description in the fact that at one time Satan was some kind of ruler in heaven. Ezekiel said that Isaiah said he was called the son of the morning, right? And that he was, I guess, in dwelling there or operating in there in what they call the mountain of Yah, the sides of the north, in the heights of the clouds, where the Most High throne was, which you can't go higher over it. But he was dwelling, when the Most High was sitting down, when the Godhead was sitting down in heaven, the Lucifer would be, according to Ezekiel, would be the one that would be the covering. Trevor, so like when you read about the seraphims, it said that as the seraphims fly around the throne of Yah, they fly. They use two wings to fly. They use two wings to cover their feet, and they use two wings to cover their eyes, and they just fly. Holy, 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 the Lord Yah Almighty. Then you also have the cherubims. The cherubims are the one that it's got the face of a man, face of an ox, face of an eagle, face of a lion. 4 faces, and it has wings, and it has feet as cloven hooves feet, and it basically is one that is 4 of I think it's 4 of them. and they basically operate the chariot of Yah. You know, when they say when he's on his throne and he's moving throughout the dimensions or wherever it is that he's going and he's sitting on his thrones, they are the ones that move him where he needs to go on his mobile throne, I guess you would say. And they have wings, but Satan at the time that he was operating, he was the top of all that. More than likely, he probably was the one that orchestrated all that they were doing. They had to come through him, and the Most High would tell him what he needed them to do. He had that, right. He was a covering cherubim, as he said, and he also seemed like he did some kind of priestly type duty according to Ezekiel, where it said he walked in the midst of the thrones of stones of fire, right? And he had some kind of commerce that he did, because they said his merchandise was filled with violence. We know that Satan deceived a third of the angels and got them to come in rebellion against the Most High. So what was his merchandise and his commerce? I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, he said he caused them to get cast out of the mountain of Yah, according to Ezekiel 28 and 16. He said his sanctuaries, apparently, wherever that might mean, were defiled by the multitude of his iniquities. I don't know if that meant that secretly he had, because of his beauty, Ezekiel 28 and 17, he had other angels that were secretly worshiping him because they thought he was worthy of worship, and they had a sanctuary or something that they came and worshiped him or whatever, and the Most High knew about it, and he said, no, you're gonna have to get cast out. And then we see in Revelations 12 where there was war in heaven, and Michael the archangel, who at one time probably was subordinate to Lucifer, cast him and those angels out. Then we can see in Luke 10 where Yeshua, and this is why we know Yeshua is part of the Godhead before coming into this existence. He was always from everlasting to everlasting. He is Yah. He said here in Luke 10, 17 and 18, he said, and the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Master, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. When Michael and the angels cast Satan out, Yeshua was there and probably was the one that gave the order for him to get cast out, right? And then it says here that he had some kind of musical ability. In Isaiah, it talks about Isaiah 14:11. He said, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, which is like a musical instrument." And we see that in Ezekiel, it talks about Ezekiel 28 and 13. It talks about not only the beautiful robe that Satan had, but also the pipes and the timbrels that were prepared in him, meaning that he had some kind of ability when he opened his mouth to make music come out as if, you know, he was a walking musical instrument. This is how the Most High created him, and he is indeed a created being according to Ezekiel 28 and 15. He was created. The Most High created him. He fashioned him. Now, the question that most people have is, was Satan and Lucifer and all the other angels created before this universe, this dimension was created, and all this stuff happened? It's kind of up in the air in that, because if you look at Isaiah, you could get that thought, right? But then if you look at Ezekiel, it talks about him being in the garden of Yah, right? But then again, was the garden of Yah in heaven before he put it here on earth? That could be what it was too. That could be what, you know, that's a thought that I would also put out there, that maybe the Garden of Eden that we call Yah didn't per se create it here on earth, but that maybe the Garden of Eden was in heaven, and then when Yah created man, he put the Eden here, because we know after mankind fell, the Bible said that Yah put an angel to keep the way of man out of the Garden of Eden. So where did the Garden of Eden go? Did it go back into was it created in heaven? And if that's the case, did it go back, or did it go down into Sheol to become the Abraham's bosom? Who knows? Because we know that Ezekiel also talks about the creation of hell. We know that the Bible said hell was created for the devil and his angels, and we see in Ezekiel 28 and 18, he said he was going to bring forth a fire from the midst of him that would devour him. Now, that's not into a future time, right? That when Satan is going to be cast into the bottomless pit to be locked up for a season, right? But then to be loosed, right? But at one time, right? And we don't know why, but that the abode that the angels and Satan was gonna have was gonna be hell, but that something happened where the Most High allowed Satan to have a short time here on this earth before he would be confined to hell. And we can see that in Revelations 12, where it says he was cast out along with his angels to deceive the whole world, the inhabitants of the world. And he said, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down having great wrath. And that if mankind would not have been deceived by Satan, then maybe that if Adam and Eve would have passed the test, because they had to be tested, in that their obedience to Yah would be because they wanted to, but that if they had passed the test, maybe Satan would have went immediately to the abode that Yah had prepared for him, but that didn't happen because mankind fell. So maybe that's what it was, why Satan and his angels didn't immediately go, is because once they was able to get mankind to fall, he said, now I have some kind of a legal right. As long as mankind is existing on this earth, you have to give me first dibs with all of them to test them to see if they really love you. So we see that once Satan led the rebellion and caused the third of the angels to fall with him, became earth, he was able to deceive mankind on whether he was in Eden in heaven or was he in Eden in earth. We know when he was in Eden in the third chapter of Genesis, he was in a serpent. He had inhabited a serpent. He was not wearing this outfit that he was wearing according to Ezekiel 28 and 13. He was not wearing that. So that's kind of a question that I have. Was he in Eden, and was Eden in heaven at the time, or was it Eden and in the earth? And if he was here in Eden and earth, was that before mankind came and that Satan and the other angels had other duties in assisting the Most High in the creation and everything of this earth? Those are questions that maybe some of the pseudegraphical books can answer, because like I said, I briefly read over some of them, but we got to kind of be careful in some of the things that we put out there. So I always say, my speculation would be that maybe, like I said, this was before he fell in Ezekiel, that maybe he did come to the earth or whatever and has something to do the preparation of man, if that's the case. Or maybe that's what caused him to come down, is because if he had that great beauty, like Ezekiel said, it said that he was lifted up because of his beauty. He was corrupted by his wisdom and his brightness, which it wasn't really his brightness. He was really reflecting the light of the glory of the Godhead off of him, and it made him appear to be shining when it really wasn't his shine. He was absorbing the shine of the Father. He said, but I'm going to cast you to the ground and lay thee before kings, right? And so these are some things that we makes us understand to why he is the way he is, and how when we approach him, that's why he said pride goeth for destruction and a haughty spirit before the fall. If we operate in pride, we're operating on the same ground that Satan was operating in heaven that got him cast out. If we operate in narcissism, which is, it says, you know, he was lifted up because of his beauty, right? We're on the same grounds as Satan. If we lifted up by our wisdom and how charismatic people say that we are, we can be operating on the same ground that Satan operates on. And I think this is why, and let me find the scripture where this is coming out of Corinthians. I gotta find the scriptures, and it gives us, okay, see, 1 Corinthians. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 1 and 18. First Corinthians 1 and 18 says this: for the preaching of the state is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved it is the power of Yah. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Has not Yah made foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of Yah, the world by wisdom knew not Yah. It pleased Yah by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For the Yahudim require a sign, and the Greeks seek out the wisdom. But we preach Messiah crucified unto the Yahudim, a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Yahudim and Greeks, Messiah, the power of Yahuwah, and the power and the wisdom of Yahuwah. Because the foolishness of Yahuwah is wiser than men, and the weakness of Yahuwah is stronger than men. For ye see your calling, my brethren, how that not many wise after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. For Yah has chosen the foolish things of the earth to confound the wise, and Yahuwah has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world are the things which are despised. Yah has chosen, yea, and the things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh should glory in his sight. But of him ye are in Messiah Yeshua, who is of Yahuwah, is made unto wisdom and righteousness and sanctification and redemption, that according as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the master. So he's saying, not many mighty, not many those that depend on their outward appearance, as Satan was, but what's inside of him, it said what we see in Isaiah, where he said in his heart he had envy, right? He had jealousy of the Most High in Isaiah 14, where he said, I want to have a throne right beside Yah. I want to be just like him. And then we see in Ezekiel where it says that he was filled with violence and iniquity was found within him, but outside he was beautiful. He had the nice robe with all the stones and beautiful stones, and he walked up in the midst of the stones of fire. And some people say that if indeed the before Lucifer fell, that the universe had been created, that maybe it was that those stones of fire that they said he walked amongst was the planets, was maybe this solar system that maybe Yah had given Lucifer a superintendent over and say, hey, this is the solar system that I'm going to place the planet that I'm going to place man on, and I want you to be the one that's going to superintend over, to watch over it, right, and watch over man. And maybe that was what triggered Satan or Lucifer at that time to get upset and say, you mean this little insignificant dust ball? Because the Bible said he created man out of the dust of the earth, and then he breathed the breath of life into him, and that maybe Hasatan, Satan, thought that was beneath him after being in the sides of the north, and maybe that's what caused the jealousy and everything, where he said, why are you putting all your attention on this man of dust when you got me, your beautiful covering cherubim, and jealousy and iniquity and all these things rose up in his heart. This is just speculation on my part, of course, but these are all things that kind of help you to think of the devices that the devil has in him, and that if you find these things within you, you have to be careful, because then you getting on his ground where he can come in, and because he's an expert in being a manipulator, he can manipulate you in these same areas where he was able to manipulate the third of the angels and get them to follow after his pernicious ways, from which Yah created hell for them to go because of their actions, which lets us know if he created hell for them to go because they was acting in such a way, what does that say about us as human beings who are on a lower level than the devil, that we will go to that same hell, when he said that the hell that was created for the devil and his angels, it was never created for us, but once mankind failed, we put ourselves in there. But even in Isaiah, where he said he would bring him down before kings and all those that would be down there in hell too, and they would say, have you become as weak as us? If you see Ezekiel 14, right, in the preceding verses, but also when you look at the verse, the 12th chapter of Revelations, where he said the way that you will overcome Satan being cast down here on earth with you, who has but a short time and wants to persecute the woman, which was Israel. He said you will overcome him by the blood of the Lamb. Now, before Yeshua came, they overcame him with the blood sacrifices of the bulls and the goats and all these different things, which were never meant to last forever, but it was still enough with the obedience of those that did this to stay him, but they were never meant to sway him. But once Yeshua came, there will come a time, if it has already not happened, that Satan, because of the blood of Yeshua and because of his high priestly job that he did without any problem. See, Satan had some kind of priesthood that he was doing, and he was not able to fulfill it. But Christ has, Yeshua is fulfilling his job as high priest after the order of Melchizedek in heaven, and that blood is one day going to be the thing that's going to nullify Satan from coming back in. Now, some believe that after Yeshua maybe ascended on high with his blood, that was the day that the access to heaven from Satan ended, and that the second casting down, because Revelations 12 appears to show that there will be a second casting down of Satan, if not it has already happened, or maybe that it is to be in the near future. I would think that maybe it had already, if we're living in the last of the last days, and he has but a short time. Remember, a day is as 1,000 years to Yah, and it's probably the same to the devil, because he's always going to and fro. So that just say that maybe not 2,000 years, but maybe 1,000 years maybe ago, that maybe access was cut off to Satan to heaven. We don't know, but we know that he said he had a short time. So that doesn't mean that it was just a few years. It probably had to be at least maybe 1,000. That's just a speculation on my part. But that we know that within the last, definitely within the last 2,000 years, there has been more deaths, more wars. There's been more progression really in the last 200 years, mankind, than all the thousands and thousands of years before that. So it could be that the devil, that just say around the beginning of the trans-Arab and transatlantic slave trade is when Satan was cast down and he started persecuting the woman. I would probably say that might be more of a better gauge when the mass persecution of us started with the trans-Arab slave trade, where millions of us was trafficked all over Asia and actually throughout other parts of Africa, and where the black men were being castrated, the black women were being put in these massive harems and taken over into the Middle East and other places to bear children, half caste children, and all these things. And then of course the transatlantic slave trade that happened, millions upon millions of us being cast into the sea and all these things. And that this is maybe the casting down of Satan happened, and woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, and all the wars and different things that has gone on, right? Like a World War One and World War II, millions upon millions of people. Then you had the Spanish influenza, where millions upon millions was killed. Then you had the wars in between. You had massacres. You had Vietnam War. You had the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, where millions upon millions was killed. You had the Chinese Revolution, where they estimate at least maybe 6 to maybe 60 million starved to death. You had the Russian Revolution, where they said millions upon millions was killed. I would have to believe that Satan probably access to heaven was cut off a while ago, when you see all these deaths that have been happening. And that's not even talking about the abortion, right? And no one will ever know how many that blood has been shed in that. I would have to believe that right now Satan access to heaven is being cut off, and that the only way you're going to be and I'm going to be able to overcome him right now is through the blood of Yeshua. Because his thing is, he wants to get back into the sides of the north. He wants to finish his plan that he started in heaven with the rebellion of the third of the angels. And he wants to use mankind to do it, those that would be silly enough to follow him. That's why in Genesis 3, he deceived Eve by saying the knowledge that the Most High has, you and your husband can have that same knowledge that he has. What knowledge is that? To be like him. What is Satan said that he wanted in Isaiah 14? He said he wanted to be like the Most High. So he wants to actually work through mankind to get what he wants, right? By using them and the third of the angels, right? To get what he wants, right? Because he wasn't so much concerned with Eve, them not knowing good and evil for any good purpose. I just want to help you, right? No, he wanted to use them and help them get to a certain point of evil where they can combine forces and come against the Most High. And then we can read that in Psalm where he said, why do the nations and the heathen rage, right? Against the Yah and his anointed, right? The Bible said that they shall be brought into derision, because Satan inhabited these nations and these heads of these kingdoms to cause them to get in rebellion against them. And we know that he had, like I said, at one time, even after he had got cast out the first time, still had access to come back into heaven to do what? To accuse the brethren, according to Revelations 12. It say, How is it you're going to let them come back in here and blah, blah, blah? And that's why when men died, they had to go to Abraham's bosom. They couldn't go into heaven because of even if they was obedient to the Most High, in it, because the blood sacrifices that they were doing, bulls and goats, was not enough to get them over, right? And that's why Yah plan from the very beginning was to send his son, because that was going to be the way that mankind would again have access to the garden of Eden, the tree of life, which is now Yeshua. He is the tree of life, right? He is the one that is the daysman between Yah and man. He is that. But Satan at one time, maybe that could have been somewhat, not that he would have been the one that would have been, but maybe just like some kind of high priest, maybe that's what he would have had. He was engaging in something like that. I don't know. It seemed like he had some kind of priestly thing, right? And that's why you find that within all religions, right? Satan is involved in all religions. He is not a discriminator against any religion. He's right up in there. He knows how to operate in religion. That's why religion cannot save you, right? But we know that he is trying to use men to try to get back into the sides of the north. He tried to do it in Genesis, the 11th chapter, verses 1 through 9, when it talked about the Tower of Babel that they built in Shinar. When they said, hey, look, let's build a tower that's going into heaven. At least we be scattered, after Yah had told them to spread out, right? And also, they also wanted to make sure that since they was going to be in rebellion against Yah, that if he flooded the earth again, the tower would be high enough. But I also believe that their understanding of science, their understanding of the universe was more in depth than what we think. And that this Tower of Babel was not just some ordinary thing that they was going to literally think that they was going to build it all the way to up into the sky. I don't think it was totally that, because they said some of the ziggurats that they found, they had astrological signs. I believe this was some kind of rebellion that Satan had put in their mind, because remember, he still had access to get into heaven to accuse man. And I believe how did he get there? Did he snap his fingers and he was in the presence of the Most High? No, I believe there are access points here on earth, just like you had Jacob, who had his dream, and he said when he had his dream, he laid his afro head on them stone pillows, and he said he had a dream of a ladder reaching from earth to heaven. And he seen angels ascending and ascending. This was a vision, dream that he had of a portal, or some would call in a scientific term a wormhole, where angels access, and they don't fly across the universe. They don't fly from the third heaven and then fly across the universe and fly to earth. There's a access portal, or a ladder, as Jacob said, that they come through, that brings them straight from the third heaven here. Satan knows where those access points are, because he himself, when he was being summoned back, he would come through those access points because he had the permission of the Most High to come into his presence. And like Job said, in chapter 1, verses 6 and 7, there are certain days that he was supposed to present him and his spirits, angelic fallen spirits, before Yah. He would know these access points, and that the Tower of Babel on the plains of Shinar was one of those access points that he told mankind, I believe, to build. And that when Yah said in Genesis 11 and 6, he said, behold, these men are one, they got one language. And he said, and this they begin to do, and nothing shall be restrained from them which they imagine to do. That maybe as the devil was giving them this understanding, this technology, to say, you know what, I'm going to try to get some kind of access code, and we're going to be able to access this wormhole, and I'm going to be able to get back up into the third heaven and be able to execute But the thing is, he can't get the access code. But that doesn't mean he doesn't try. That does not mean that he doesn't try to get men to do this, give man some kind of knowledge. He'll never get it right, but that doesn't mean that Satan ain't gonna try, because he ain't got nothing but time. Just like people in prison, they sit and they think about how I'm gonna break out of this thing. Just because they fail don't mean they ain't gonna stop. It's the same with Satan. He wants to get back into the third heaven and complete what he was trying to complete in Isaiah the 14th chapter. And so he continues to work through man, try to work through mankind to lead rebellion here on earth. And any place where Yah's people are gathering to try to live for him, to worship him, or do anything, Satan is going to try to get in the midst of that and mess it up. He also will create his own places where he wants his people to come, just like on the day that the Most High has for his followers, his creation, to come and to worship him. Satan creates in this earth places for people to come to gather to worship him and or his fallen angels. You can see that when our people went into Canaan. Y'all said, when you go into these lands, these people got these groves, they got these temples and all these things that they go worship after their gods, and they do burnt sacrifices and all these things. He said, you are to tear these things down, because these things are an affront to me, right? And that's why when Yah temple was created, right, in Jerusalem, where was it created? It was created in the Mount Zion, right? In the what? Sides of the north. What does Psalms 48 says? It says 48:1. He said, great is the master and greatly to be praised in the city of our Yahuwah, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. So Yah said, okay, nation of Israel going to be my representation of what's in heaven here on earth. So as I have a mount in heaven that my temple, my throne and everything is, so I shall here on earth. Mount Zion is going to be the comparison to the mountain of Yah and the sides of the north, and it's going to be the city of the great king, right? And so what did Satan continually try to do? He tried to continually to defile that temple. He continually tried to work through the kings and the priests and all them to defile Yah's temple that was a representation, because the Bible said the pattern that David got was from the master of what was in heaven. So it was a pattern of what was in heaven here on earth. So Satan wanted to defile that. But also he knows that that would be an access point, that the Most High will have access into this earth to man. He can have access anywhere he wants. But he made the temple in Jerusalem. He made the altar. He made the holies of holies his access point into this earth to mankind. And therefore the devil wanted to not just defile that, but I believe he also wanted to try to re-access heaven through that. And that's why he continually, when you see the kings, the evil kings of Israel, and they would go in there and they would set up their other gods. They would set up their idols. They would set up their groves and those different things in the same temple. And that's why when y'all got upset, he said, you know what? I'm going to wipe out this whole temple, because he will not dwell in an unclean place. That this is a purpose of Satan to defile that. And you can also see that in Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, where it talks about how these people had taken the Most High's temple, which is one of the reasons why he allowed Nebuchadnezzar to destroy it. And they had set up all these secret compartments, these secret passages, and people was worshiping the sun, and people was worshiping the creeping things. People was weeping for Tomad. Women was weeping for Tomad. And you get to the place in Ezekiel where it shows you where the spirit of Yah leaves off from the altar. And then we know what happened, that Nebuchadnezzar destroyed, finally had the final captivity and destroyed the temple, right? Because Yah said, I will not be in the presence of evil, right? And so the devil is continually to try to defile the places where the spirit of Yah is, because our access point to Yah is that when we are born again, his spirit lives in us, right? And that's why the Bible said, grieve not what? The Holy Spirit by which you are sealed unto the day of redemption, because it will be the same difference as in when the Holy of Holies was in there and the people was bringing the idols and sitting them beside the Holy of Holies. And y'all said, are you crazy? Right? And then what he said, if you defile the temple, which is your body, he said, Yah will destroy you, which is your temple. If you defile it just like his temple in Jerusalem was defiled by the enemy, he said he will destroy your temple. And you even see that in 1 John where he said many that had the sin, the unforgivable sin. He said, I would not have that you would pray for them, right? And even Paul said, some of you in 1 Corinthians capitulate and letting evil be in the midst of your congregation. He said, no, you need to turn such a one over to the Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit might be saved, because this leaven that you're leaving in the midst of your gatherings is a little leaven will leaven a whole lump. This is some of the operations of Satan here on earth. And this is why we got to understand that at one time he had this access. He's jealous of the access that we have. So he wants to destroy that access, and he also wants to try to manipulate that access. And every brother, Noah's 3 sons, he has tried to re-access the heavens. He did it through Nimrod with the Tower of Babel, because Nimrod led the building of the temple, and then through Shem, through Nebuchadnezzar II, who was a Shemitic person. He was the kingdom that he led. Those were Shemitic people, the head of gold. What did he try to do? He tried to do it through the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem and taking the precious furniture except for the Ark of the Covenant. He took the vessels of Yah into Babylon and put them in his temples. And he took the precious vessels, which were the people, and put them throughout his kingdom to rule over his kingdom, to defile them, to access them, to make him great, to build him up, and in so much so that when Daniel had the vision of the head of gold and then the other preceding empires, Nebuchadnezzar said, no, I'm going to make a statue of solid gold, meaning my temple, my kingdom was never going to go away, because I'm going to make sure it never goes away, which would how many the people of Yah would have been enslaved in Babylon forever. And we know that was not so, because Yah said after 70 years they was going to return. So he basically was going to say, Yah, I'm going to make you a lie. Your people are not going to go back, because I'm going to have a kingdom will not end. I'm going to be I'm going to take the place of the rock that's cut out with our hand that's going to destroy the statue. I'm not going to let him destroy the statue, because I'm going to make it solid gold. And what did Yah do? Right? When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went into the fire, Yeshua came in the fire with them, the angel of Yah. And Nebuchadnezzar looked in there and said, the fourth one looks like the son of Yah. And he said, I can't mess with that. He right, I can't. The 90-foot statue I made of gold, Yah is the real Yah, right? But then through the Japhet, which is the last son, he has tried to access and use him by what? Creating the Vatican, creating Constantinople, the two legs of Nebuchadnezzar's vision, right? Of the Roman Empire divided, right? Because we know that Constantinople at one time had they didn't call him a pope, but then the one in Rome had the pope. He has tried to use those, and right now Islam is the second leg, right? But right now through the Vatican, that is how Satan is trying to. And then we have CERN, we have science. the devil was trying to use signs. He was trying to use signs to try to access the third heaven, right? He's trying to use Atlas and Alice and all these other. He will not get the access codes, but that does not mean he will not try, right? And that's why whenever these scientists and them get the knowledge that they get, they have to always name their creations after these Greek gods, after different gods, to pay homage to the devil. Because he's saying, if I give you this, this is what you must do. You must get me access to the third heaven again. And it's not going to happen. If you look at that war that's going on over there, what is it? One of the things that they're fighting over. They're fighting over the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is on the Temple Mount, which they said was one time the place where the temple was. Now, I don't believe that as the place. But for Satan purposes, he will have that place as a place that he will try to access, because he just not know exactly where Yeshua will come back. But I believe that he wants to set something up there to try to be a surprise attack when Yeshua comes through that wormhole with the armies of heaven the second time, and he wants to be there, but he will not get that. But that's one of the things that started this stuff between the Palestinians and the Ish people, was that they said, we got to build our third temple to give our now that doesn't mean that Islam is a good thing. Now it's bad too, but these Ish people, they want to build that third temple as a access point, as a thing for their Messiah to come through and to set up rule before Yeshua comes back. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So with that, I want to ask you to give this video a thumbs up, because I see my power is getting ready to end. But I just wanted you to understand, we cannot be ignorant of the devil's devices. We must pray against this. We must not give him access to our heart, because it's just like when the temple in Jerusalem, when the Holy of Holies there and the people was putting the idols there, Yah said he will not have any other Yah before him. You must be born again. And if you're born again, you must mortify the deeds of your flesh every day. So with that, I'm going to ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I'm going to ask you to leave a comment, and I'm going to ask you to subscribe. Be blessed.